Whoa, ho, ho, ho. Hello. It's been a while. How are you all doing? Today we will be focusing on heavy menstrual cramping, heavy periods, define it, what the causes might be, and what we can do about it. Fantastic, right? Okay. So, heavy periods, heavy cramping, obviously not ideal for any lady out there. But things that we actually need to be concerned about is the consistency of it. A period where you have heavy cramping or heavy blood flow, if it's 1 month out of many months, a couple of times a year, it's not something to worry about too much, because you might have had a stressful month. You might have overtrained that month and you've learnt your lesson. You might have ate some inflammatory foods. You know, if you're gluten intolerant and you had gluten, it fucks you up. Your body's more stressed and it shows through your period. However, it's the consistency of back-to-back heavy menstrual cramping and heavy periods that we need to worry about. Now, it is defined normally in terms of blood flow. So if you're going through a few super tampons a day, then it's something that we might need to look into. The measurement that we use is 80 ml of blood flow each day. However, you can only really compare yourself to yourself. So if it's more of a heavy blood flow than you're used to, then that's a heavy period. Again, if you've got more cramping than you're used to, then it's a heavy cramping. Okay, so it doesn't have to be, your period does not have to be the same as someone else's to justify it being heavy. So sometimes the reason that you get these back-to-back heavy menstrual cramps, or you can see them for consistently months on end, is because you may have a hormone imbalance, namely estrogen dominance. So you've got your two dominant hormones through your menstrual cycle. Estrogen is dominant in the first half, progesterone is dominant in the second half. However, if you've got estrogen dominance, you've got low progesterone basically, and progesterone never becomes dominant. We've got an excess of estrogen. Estrogen builds up your uterine lining, so the blood in your uterus, increasing that lining, increasing the chance of clotting, and also if we have that estrogen dominance, what we can see is an increase in prostaglandins, which their function is to cause you to contract, and an excess in prostaglandins means excess contractions, meaning excess pain with this heavy blood flow. So that basically explains what is going on. Now, there can be other deeper lying causes so it can be from high insulin levels, endometriosis, ovarian cysts, fibroids, nutrient deficiencies. This is why it's important we have to test. So you can test through blood work, Dutch tests, etc. So prior to testing, we can do a few things that should have an impact on your menstrual cycle, reducing the heaviness of the bleeding or reducing the menstrual cramping. So as we've established before, that stress can cause you to have a heavy menstrual cycle. So what can we do to reduce that heavy menstrual cycle and the symptoms surrounding it? Well, we reduce stress. If stress can cause it, stress can make it a little easier. So in terms of lifestyle, if you're training, if you're doing high intensity interval training about 4 or 5 times a week, we pull that back, drop it out, just get back to steps. Eat foods that aren't inflammatory, that agree with you, foods that like you. Now, there's a few natural anti-inflammatories that you can include in your diet. There's omega-3s, there's boswellia or frankincense, there's ginger, as in the spice, not the spice girl. There is bromelain, which can be found in pineapple. You can also supplement with magnesium zinc and vitamin B6, so inositol. And then if you have tested and found it is estrogen dominance, we can go for a DIM or a milk thistle to support estrogen metabolism, liver detox, etc. So using an NAC and N-acetylcysteine. You can use a Vitex to boost up your progesterone, which you'd be lacking in if you do have estrogen dominance. We can also support with something like an ashwagandha KM66 to get you more in that parasympathetic state. So just rest and digest, chilled, less stressed, doing what we can to pull back from what causes the heavy menstrual cycle. So yeah, hopefully there are a few things that you can take away and implement into your life to improve it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay then. Okay, that's it. That was the video. Hope you're good. And yeah. All right.